y'all. Welcome to another episode of No Tea.
Just coffee.
And I am Jordan.
And my name is Tam.
So let's talk about the meat and potatoes of today. Tam came up with a great topic, and I'm going to have you introduce the topic, Tam.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to get into it, and then we're going to shoot the shit.
Yeah, so first off, y'all, let me just say, preparing for this episode, it's been a lot ahead of time, okay? So we might be a little bit off of our game, just a little bit. No, but so today's topic, red flags versus green flags. Mm-hmm. So I watched this show. It's called Tonight's Conversation. Shout out to them. It's a group of people, I think friends maybe, I don't know, but they just sit around and they basically talk about anything and all things relationship, related. And so I was watching an episode, and one of the ladies was talking about basically why is it that it's so easy for us to like point out like red flags and what we don't want, but like why don't we change the narrative and actually let's start talking about what you do want. Like, what are you looking for in a relationship? I mean, even on TikTok now, they have this filter where it's like, what are your red flags? But you're like you're just speaking negativity into certain things and certain relationships instead of manifesting what it is that you actually want. So yeah, it just really hit home for me. Because I real life, like I've told this story a couple times, like with my friends, but I really manifested a relationship. Now at the time, I didn't realize manifestation wasn't even part of my vocabulary, if I were to be honest. So I didn't even know what I was doing, you know. But I remember specifically during that time me saying, "This is what I want." Like I didn't mention anything about, for my last relationship, I don't want this and I don't want that. No. I remember specifically saying I want X, Y, and Z. And baby, when I tell you I got it, I got it.
Now, where did you get your X, Y, and Z from?
From what I knew that I did not want.
And how did you know what you did not want?
Basically just because of just like treatment and feeling like experiences. So how it came about, I had just got over a relationship. Okay. And this particular person, I was in love with this man. Okay. Yeah. I mean, in love. Man, I was in love with this man. And relationship had just ended. And I just remember just being in this space where I was like, I knew like I'm a good catch. Like I think I'm a good catch. I'm a great woman, Yeah. And I'm just like, why? Like, why didn't it work? Just asking all these questions to myself. And so I just remember just praying and asking, saying, the next man in my life, I want him to have this, that, and third. Now I can't remember everything, but two in particular, because it's going to come back with this story. One was, for example, like I want someone who only sees me, who only has like tunnel vision for me. Like you can drop me in the center of a million beautiful women. Yeah. And he only sees me. Yeah. Right. And then another one in particular is I wanted someone to love me. Now this is where I kind of messed up, because I got what I asked for. I wanted someone to love me the same way that I loved my prior boyfriend. Okay. Because I love that man, and I just felt like the love wasn't the same. But I just wanted, I guess because I just wanted to feel like that same, whatever. Absolutely. So that's what I asked for. I said that. Yes. I wanted someone who would love me as much as I loved this person. Ex, yeah. Now, what I wouldn't suggest doing this when you're still kind of hurt. I know. Because
you haven't processed everything.
And then, yeah. So anyways, long story short, that was like August of one year. December, he comes out of nowhere. By March, we're official. We were together for 3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, towards the end of things ending, it wasn't him. And I still to this day, I always say he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. I just, for whatever reason, which is crazy, it wasn't there for me after a while. Now, when we were breaking up, that was probably the hardest breakup I've ever dealt with because I had asked for someone to love me as much as I loved my ex. And he loved me. Like, I mean, he probably would have like proposed. Like, he loved me.
Yes.
And it was the hardest thing for me because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing the exact same thing
that your ex did to
that
you?
my ex did to me. Like, I knew what he was feeling.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what he was feeling. And I just felt like a horrible person. I was like, I can't believe I'm doing the same thing that my ex just did to me. But anyways, so in that case, I spoke. I spoke about like what I wanted, like the things that I wanted. But nowadays, it is just so very common to talk about what you don't want. And, for my last relationship, and, he did this and he did that, and these are all the red flags or whatever, which, yes, those are good things to know. But yeah, I think like you should probably start changing your mindset and like speaking out loud into the universe of what are the things that you do want.
But here's the thing too, like I think before I met Alfred, I was like, I want a guy that he has to go to college. He has to have a college education, and he has to do X, Y, and Z. And if he doesn't, then that's kind of a red flag, or that's something I'm not gonna deal with. But when you do throw up red flags that are not really red flags, you could eliminate meeting the love of your life or somebody who could really make an impact in your life, which Alfred has. And he didn't go to school, but he's just as, determined, just as successful.
But I feel like that's a little bit different. I like you want him to go to school more so like.
Well, because I correlated school as somebody who will be successful. And so if somebody's like, well, I don't want to go to college, I'm like, ooh, that's a red flag because what you going to do with your life?
So for you specifically, it was about college and not I want someone who's successful in whatever successful
I combined the two. One determined the other. Like if you went to school, then you're going to be successful because that's how I grew up anyway. And that's what my dad was like, listen, you can't date a man or don't start dating a man that doesn't have a plan and that involves going to school and getting a good education or getting a degree.
Right.
Because if he doesn't, he ain't going to be successful.
So, right. So that's what I'm saying. It was about, I understand like college and success that correlates. That's one of the same.
Yeah.
But for you, like just thinking back to then, how you were thinking about it was you want a man that has gone to school, but not necessarily saying like I want a man who's successful. Although I understand that the two correlate, but like the way you were speaking of it, was related to like schooling.
And so if I met a guy and we just chit chatting,
and he ain't got no college,
I'm not talking to you again. Oh, you're not. Or if he didn't find it somewhat important, because I remember dating a guy for other reasons. There were red flags. One of them was I was in school and I was like, well, I got homework to do. He like, nah, but I still want you to come out. I'm like, but no, I got a test tomorrow. That was a red flag for me too.
Because he couldn't like understand or correlate. Yeah,
you didn't find it important. But it could be, which I later found out that it really wasn't about school that was a red flag. It was that he didn't find females, like he had control issues.
Oh,
it was that whatever I say goes.
No, that's different.
That's the real red flag.
Right.
Later on, oh, this man is crazy. So I think sometimes we got to dig a little deeper, rather than maybe he don't clean his house very well. That's a red flag. But maybe he ain't had nobody to help him clean his house or teach him how to clean his house. And maybe you need to dig a little deeper as to why he don't clean his house instead of just checking that man off as somebody to date.
But why do we focus so much on the what they don't do is what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We focus so much on that. Like, that's a good example. Like,
Hold on, I'll give you another one.
Mm-hmm.
Alfred. Mm-hmm. We first started dating. He had no furniture in his apartment. That was a red flag.
I'm not gonna say it's a red flag. It might be a little like,
oh, when I walked
turn
in,
off or like questionable. Maybe
it was a flag. It was like waving. I said,
"Oh, but why? Why was that a red flag? What did that symbolize to you?
You living outside your means." Like, because I know some people who will get a place and spend all the money on the place, but they can't furnish it. So I was like, oh shoot, he got this really nice apartment, but he ain't got no furniture. Like,
but okay, but then like, what if he got an apartment that he could afford plus furniture, but that apartment is like roach infested or so? I don't know. Then you really gonna be like,
I wouldn't even go inside.
So it's like everything.
But the thing is, I think sometimes you do have to push. Now, if someone's abusive or controlling or they have really bad behaviors, don't push through that. Run the other way. But this one, I was like, you know what? Okay, it is a red flag for me. But let me just find out what is really going on. Why he ain't got no furniture in his house? Mm-hmm. So we kind of started talking a little more, and he kind of brought it up. Was like, I know you see I don't got no furniture in my house. It's like, but what I'm doing is I'm getting ready to move out and moving with my best friend so that I can save up money to buy a house. Boom. That was all I needed. But if I would have and I think sometimes we let those red flags we just go with it and we don't give it a chance to marinate on maybe what that is or dig a little deeper, we can miss out on somebody that really could be, somebody, special or impactful in your life.
So I'm going to take it right back though to, again, focusing on the red flags. Yeah. Instead of trying to flip your mindset and focusing on like, what is it that you actually want from that? You know what I mean? Like, was it really like, okay, yes, that to you, that's a red flag. He has a nice apartment, but he ain't got no furniture.
Which it was a green. It turned into a green flag. I was like, okay, but we do tend to go.
Wait, but what do you mean it turned into a green flag? Like,
because it was a go. Because I was gonna stop.
But that's not a green flag. A green flag is saying what it is that you want from a person. Like, I want someone who is emotionally intelligent.
You can't throw up a flag until you meet that person that gives you a red or green flag.
No.
That's just a list of things that you want in your partner.
And that's what a green flag is.
No.
Yes, it is.
Like, when somebody say red flag, it's something that someone has done. Or green flag is someone has done something and it's like, oh, red or green flag.
So I think you and I are interpreting it two different ways.
Yeah, maybe we are.
Because, yes, okay, like, technically you have a red flag and you have green flags, right?
Yes.
For me, it's more so about speaking about what it is that you do want.
So manifestation.
And not always focusing on what you don't. Because I think what happens is, as individuals, it's easier for us to talk about what we don't want because those are the things that hurt us. Those are the things that really affect us. And so you're like, I don't want somebody who's going to do this or do that. Right? Which, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, let's start thinking about, well, what exactly is it that you do want? Right? And I'm going to go back to, let's say like at first you're talking about the college thing, right? And those, at one point in time, if they didn't go to school, that was something, that was a red flag or something that you knew that you didn't want. But really, it wasn't necessarily about school. It was more so that you wanted someone that was going to be successful and had a plan, whatever that might have looked like. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by like red flag, green flag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? More so just about, we're just always so quick to say, we don't want this, we don't want that, but we're not actually talking about what it is that we do want. And and what I will say though, is going back to my example with my ex, also making sure you're ready. Because
Yeah, that's true.
if I really think about it, I had all these things that I wanted, and I was
Yeah.
very, very clear about what that was. Right, I was very. It was very clear of what that was. But as the relationship started to go on, and me discussing how he really was or is a great man,
Yeah.
but maybe I really wasn't ready for that yet.
Mm.
Like at that point in time in my life,
Yeah.
maybe I really wasn't ready because he was. No, don't get me wrong. Like all relationships have issues, okay?
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
so, it wasn't like squeaky clean. There were some things in there, but
But
I
maybe
think they were like thinking back on it, like though they were things that I probably could have we could have worked through or figured out or whatever the case may be. Because ultimately, as an individual, he was a great man. But was I really ready for it at that time?
But also, just because somebody is a great man doesn't mean that it's your great man.
No,
Because
and that's what I told him too.
I think sometimes we also want to fit that person in our lives because they are a great man. And yes, they are a great man, but maybe they're just not your great man. And as you progress as a woman too, what was great then, you may not find great now. So I think like as you progress, also think about the things that you want from your great man and the things that as you're a woman in their 20s, that great man is very different from the man that I find great in my 30s.
No,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? It just that I feel like progresses and
As you get older.
as you get older, and that has to be recognized too because again in my 20s successful was going to college, but as I progressed and got older, success looks very differently now. And if I was in the dating scene, I would find value in many different careers, whereas when in my 20s I was very like 10 and 2 focused on you got to go to school, you got to have this, you got to do this, that, and the other. But that man is different now for me, like what I would seek now.
Yeah, and I mean, as we were going, through everything,
Yeah.
and actually this goes back to a previous episode that we did in like
Yeah.
the minding your business, right? One of the reasons was because everybody was like, "Oh, you guys look so good together." Da da da. I'm listening to everybody else,
Yeah.
whatever. And as things were coming to to an end, it was just a thing
Yeah.
of like, even still, like even now as I speak of him,
Mhm.
can never say anything bad about that man.
Yeah.
He just wasn't for me,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. He just wasn't.
Absolutely nothing
He wasn't
wrong.
for me. You know what I mean? But
Nope.
but yeah. So it was just that manifestation thing is like, it's real. It's real. It's serious. It's scary at the same time.
Mhm.
Just because I just remember so like specifically during that time on the things that I knew that I wanted.
And the thing is, like you said, you got to kind of process your previous situation because some of those things that you're manifesting are coming out of emotion.
Yes,
And
child.
so it's kind of like there maybe God taught you a lesson because you're like, dang, this is how I felt. Now he feeling that. So maybe God was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna teach a lesson real quick, and then let's scrub this clean and let's work through these emotions, and then you figure out what man you really want. Cause that is true. You like, I don't ever want this to happen to me again. So the
Yeah.
next guy, he XYZ, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's all out of hurt and emotions, which we've all done.
Yep.
Um,
And I think that's where, as I'm defining red flags, that's where
mhm.
red flags come from.
Yeah.
Because you are focusing so much on
Yep.
the hurt that you experience, so you know that you don't want that. like,
But and then sometimes you block your blessing.
that's what I'm saying. But like in
Mhm.
some things that like hurt us, maybe wasn't really that deep,
No,
And it's
it
like
wasn't.
there's things that like, and even as you get older,
Yeah.
like even looking back in past relationships, I'm like, no, I don't want someone
That's
to do
right.
this. And it's like, but was it really that
It really
serious?
wasn't that serious.
Because nobody's perfect. No
No.
relationship is perfect,
No relationship is. And sometimes, like, was it your ego? Did they hurt your ego a little bit to
Right.
make you feel like, well, dang, I thought I had it going on.
Right.
And this person made me feel like I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, shoot, maybe you didn't have it going on. Maybe you had some work to do. Because I
Right.
think we come into the situation of like, he has to have XYZ. But sis, what you got to bring to the table too?
Right.
So y'all can progress together, and you're gonna be working on yourself the whole entire time. I've worked on myself the whole time me and Alfred have been together, and will continue to, because, like I said, who I was in my 20s when we first, met in my mid-20s, I'm a lot different.
Right.
My requirements are a lot different.
Yeah.
And
you would hope for that to happen.
Right. But some people stay stagnant.
I know, child.
So, I think just be open. I think just being open to, and also I think the way you were raised, and like what your auntie said and what your sister said, and what you grew up knowing what a man to be open to that not being always right. Just because you saw a man being a workaholic, that's actually not healthy, because then family time and all these other things are sacrificed. So I did grow up thinking, oh, okay, I want a workaholic. I want somebody who is working and out there grinding, but it really sacrifices a lot of that personal time or that development that you need in your relationship. So, just be continuously open.
Yeah. I agree. I can agree with that. Yeah, you would hope as you get older that your wants and needs will mature, if you will.
And I think to get into more of the green flag, in more of a literal way, and I know you weren't thinking more literal, but I think sometimes when you do go out, I don't go out, but like if I was single when I was going out, you are always keeping your guard up. And if you've been hurt or you've been in a relationship, sometimes you're not allowing to see the good qualities of a guy right away. Like, girl, he doing X, Y, and Z, and it's like, but girl, he a good dancer, or he's charismatic, or he got a good smile or something. So sometimes, like, put the little red flag in your back pocket. Don't disappear the thing.
Stop
completely.
Looking. It's almost
don't look for it.
Yeah, like don't look for it.
Yeah,
just let it happen how it's gonna happen.
Because some people are like, girl, he's light skinned. I don't deal with light skin. That light skinned man could change your life. You know what I mean?
Like,
people got these real particular
very
things,
particular.
and you're like,
how he holding the cup, how he drinks. You're like, what?
Like, now let me tell you something. I have friends that have mates or partners that couldn't dress to save their lives, and they've upgraded them, and they step out like,
hello.
So you can't, and I'll be the first to tell you, there are things that Alfred has upgraded me in, and I've upgraded him. That's a part of the thing. It may look like it's a diamond in the rough out here sometimes, and you're like, I would never. But then sometimes you're like, well, the foundation of him is great. He just got a little, little dust around the edges. Just dust them off and upgrade them.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say don't be working on no projects.
No, like just piggybacking off of that, like even my ex, like, well,
Uh-oh.
One of the things that I guess would be a red flag for me, what I would consider a red flag, was kind of like style and like how someone would dress. And I just remember, like, first date with my ex, I was like,
uh-oh.
And I remember calling my best friend. I'm like, girl,
can't dress.
And I don't know, like, and she's like, girl, just give another chance, because little side note, she knew the guy, right? She's like, oh, just give him
a chance,
give him another date, whatever. Yeah. And this is what I don't know. I need to ask her, because she knew the guy. I'm wondering if she like hit him up to be like, hey, like, you need to step up your swag game a little bit. Yeah. Because baby, that second date
stepped it up.
Whole nother person. And I was all in. but
did he stay consistent with dressing?
He did. But I say that to say, though, like, because he was such a great man, I was literally about to end it after the first date because of
that red flag.
That was a red flag for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I have a little bit of style, and
Yeah.
I need my person to kind of match me a little bit.
That's right. Match my fly.
Match my fly. And so I was about to miss out on like a really good man, all because of his personal style. That really can be something that can be like, upgraded a little bit. It
can. So because again, maybe nobody ever taught the man how to dress. Right. Or he was so focused on his education, his studies. And maybe he's an intelligent man, and his style has been sacrificed. Whatever the case may be. But another thing that we were just over my dad's house for Father's Day, and my dad, and when he said this, I'm like, but you taught me this, and now you going the other way with it. What? So my dad was always like, try to date a guy or a man, marry a man that can, work on cars and can, that's like a Renaissance man, because
save you some money.
That's my dad. My dad is a Renaissance man. He gonna learn how to do it. He works on cars. He knows how to. A guy
that's good with his hands with stuff.
Good with his hands. Now my husband, if he really could do construction, with his dad, and he's always done it. He knows everything about a house, inside, outside, but knows nothing about cars. So we started joking, and my dad was like, "Well, he got to. That's what they got mechanics for." And I was like, do you know how ingrained that has been in my mind?
We're like, but
you told me that I gotta get a Renaissance man, and he don't know nothing about cars. So that's always been one thing. Like he can put together anything, but don't ask him about no car.
That's funny.
And in that moment, I was like, that being a red flag for me, it has diminished, of course, but that used to be a thing. Like, if you don't know nothing about cars, then I don't know if we can really have much going on.
That's crazy.
Because my dad, if anything went wrong with my mother's car, he fixing it. If he couldn't figure it out, then he would go to the mechanic. But literally, my dad would always fix it. I'm talking about from changing the oil to everything.
And you know what's crazy? I had to learn how to do that stuff. You need an oil change? I technically know how to do it. Do I want to? No. You need to put on the spare tire? Yeah. I know how to do that too.
Well, and that's exactly my dad was like, listen, they gotta know about a car because, and it's like he was like, if you get a flat tire, a man should be able. Now Alfred does know how to change a tire, but he was just like, they should know about a car. You depend on your car, you need your car, so the man need to know how to work on the car and know about it.
That's crazy.
I've been carrying this little red flag around
in your little back pocket.
In my back pocket. And he like, well, he don't gotta know. I'm like, okay, Dad, thank you.
That is
I'll let it go now.
That is crazy.
But yeah, I think don't settle. Of course, you're gonna have your things that you don't want to settle for. But I think definitely focusing more on the positives. And I think our red flags do come from hurt.
Yes.
Process the hurt, those emotions, and before you go out looking for the next one, maybe work through that a little bit first.
And for me, that's more so what I was getting at. Like, just to repeat what you just said, just not focusing on what you don't want. You know what I mean? Like, start talking about what you do want. And you're not going to know, because it is hard to be like, I want this and this and this. But there's going to be some things that that you do want for sure.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that we should start practicing in communicating that more than talking about what you don't want. Because I believe that in your relationships, there's going to be a little bit of those things that you don't want.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get rid of all of the red flags. You're just not, right?
No.
So it's like, start thinking about what it is that you do want that will outweigh some of those red flags. Because a lot of those red flags you probably can work through.
Yeah.
And then also just making sure that you're ready for it. Like I said, looking back, I don't know if I might not have actually been ready for what I was asking for.
because people like, I want to be in a relationship. Make sure you're ready, because relationships can be a lot of work. I'm not saying all of them are, but to go with your point of, if you see, again, red flags should be like serious issues, like control and things that in your gut or women's intuition that this ain't right. So I got to move on. But there are certain things like Alfred, both of us didn't grow up with a mom, but what that is for me is different for him. So he may have not known quite what a man is to a woman because he didn't really see that emulated, or he didn't know the softness that a woman, just the things that women can teach their son. Because his mom passed when he was 13, there were things that were kind of not developed in that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had to be more patient, and it was a challenge.
Yeah,
but by kind of, and in the beginning, I wasn't patient. To be honest with you, I'm like, listen, you should already know this,
right?
But he didn't. How would he know?
Right.
So I had to be patient. Of okay, I am going to give him grace,
and I'm sure you saw a lot of good,
and I saw a lot of good in him,
right?
But it takes continuous work, and again, we're ever evolving and ever changing,
right?
So as long as your partner or whoever is on this journey with you is willing to progress and grow
with you,
yep, and not always for you, they need to grow for themselves. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it can be a wolf in sheep's clothing. And sometimes I see, in the past, some of my friends have dated people that put on a huge facade. Oof. And I would be
turn
like,
out to be somebody completely different.
They've been playing this role. So that also, I do think red flags can be healthy in that way of like, okay, something just don't even seem right.
Right.
He's not really, he's changing for you.
Yeah.
And he's not really being who he, who he wants to be. And then next thing you know, it's a blow up, and now he done uncovered himself. So
yeah, they do have, you do have to want to change for yourself and I mean for your partner too.
Yes.
But if it is just solely like for your partner, oh man,
he's about to chop you up and put you in the basement.
It's about to go down the drain.
He's like, hi, and then next thing he got a whole basement full of bodies. Like, no, wait a minute,
not a basement full
of
bodies.
It's a Lifetime movie.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, those men, they like
that went extreme.
But those Lifetime movies, it's like,
and that's what. No, I don't know about those Lifetime movies because of this right here. See,
the stepdad turns out to be a psychopath. Next thing you know, he had bodies laid out all in the basement. It's like,
oh god,
red flag. 5 years ago. Now you done married him. Now he's in the house. So yeah, there's a lot of red flags.
Wow.
Keep them up, but at the same
time.
Yes,
for sure. Especially in this type of situation,
that
Lord.
Is funny.
But anyways, I just thought that topic was interesting, and and like I said, it really resonated with me. Like I do think that we just need to start speaking more positively about the things that we're looking for, and not focusing so much on the hurt. And heal first before you try to get into something else, and even heal before even start thinking about what it is that you want. You know what I mean? Like let all that stuff settle first.
Why do you want it?
Why? Right.
Why?
And I think a lot of people need to, like, when you're going from one relationship to another, I do think people need like
process time.
Yes,
they do.
Man, I know some people that will go from one relationship to the other, from that to the other, and
How?
It's like you've literally never had a time to yourself to even know who you are, to know what you want.
Because from one person to the next, you're like, how? Okay,
you're just honestly, you're just continuing to stack on all this weight and hurt and
you don't even. Now you're just going through the motions, and now you just want a warm body.
That's basically it. You're just dragging this weight along.
That's right.
On to the next person.
Ain't processing it at all. And really, if you did, you could find the one that you could settle down with and stop. Because here's the thing.
And stop looking for like the perfect person.
Yes.
Because nobody's perfect.
Exist.
Like where they
Because,
at? Where they at?
hold on, wait a minute. We want this perfect person. Meanwhile, we got holes
Hello?
all up and through. We got baggage for days, but we want somebody to be perfect. But if you looked on the inside of us, we tore up to pieces because we ain't worked on ourselves yet. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this was a good discussion. We're on two different paths at first, but it ended up coming back together.
Yeah, because I think when you talk about red flags, it's a literal because and this is just from a woman's perspective, but we do go out into this world kind of protective. And so those red flags kind of help us navigate. But like Tam was saying, like,
you have to know what you want to.
Absolutely. And don't focus on, well, he did, he chew his gum too loud.
That's it.
I'm done with him. Girl, you got some
I ain't
issues.
gonna lie, don't be smacking that. Anyways.
Yeah, have some table manners. If you ain't got table, we gotta talk about that.
Chewing with your mouth all over.
Table manners. Like, ew. And the thing is, like, just because he he may not got a little style, take him shopping. Yeah. Babe, come on, let's go try some stuff on.
Let me upgrade you like Beyonce said.
And it's the way in which you say it. Don't hurt his ego. Yeah. Because don't hurt a man's ego.
Do not do that.
Babe, come on.
Right, you gotta
rub his arm a little bit. Although I appreciate what you put on. Why don't we just see what else is out there?
Let's spice it up just a little bit. No, I love it, but I can love it even more.
But let's upgrade just a little bit.
Oh man. All right, well, are we ready to shoot the shit?
Yeah, we can shoot the shit.
Okay, so let's talk about it's going back to social media. But it's a little bit more, I think, of like a serious shoot the shit of like what to post, like your personal, like just within your personal life. Yeah. So this comes about like for me, I coach a college dance team, or even like the company that we work for. It's like what can I post really? Because your girl still likes to go out and have fun. Okay?
Yeah.
I still like to turn up, and all that, but it's like...
But you ain't turning up like that. Like if you... Okay.
I still like to turn up. Okay?
I'm like, what's your gauge?
I still like to... Me and my group of friends, we still like to have fun, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I have to be mindful about those things. Do you know, there's so many things I be wanting to post, even just like repost.
Yeah.
Right? But I have to think about like,
who's gonna see this?
Who's gonna see it? Because I'm a coach, right? Or,
that's a hard one because it's so tricky because social media is like a free for all at times with content. But then in the real world, you're supposed to be like, so like meek and mild.
Right.
It's such a drastic extreme from one to the next. It's like, but like you said, I still want to live my life.
Right.
But we're being judged. But it's like, but all this other stuff is out here in this world, and all this other stuff is on social media, and you judging me because I done posted something that you don't agree with.
And you think I'm just sitting here all wholesome,
drinking my tea,
right? Just sipping this tea. Like no, like I still like to have fun. And you know what? You know what's crazy? Like how you have like time hop or like it'll like pull up like memory stuff. What I used to post compared to today, I would be like drinking my Starbucks or like
everything.
I'm sitting on the couch. Like I used to it like the stuff I used to post used to be so extreme compared to what I'm doing now. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's just I don't know. It for me sometimes it's hard because there's so many things that I want to post and like I still just get out and I still like to have fun and I have to think about the fact that I'm a coach and even sometimes like just knowing certain people that may follow, I have to think about that too. Yeah. And again, going back to maybe just like the company that you work for, like you got to be mindful of maybe what you're reposting. Like, is it gonna offend someone or go against something? It's just like
there's a lot of if you don't. There's a lot of like memes that I want to repost.
No.
And I don't, because sometimes they are work related. And it's like, I can relate to that. And then I don't repost it because I'm like,
so then what you have like a text chain with like some people about work related stuff. So we're laughing like internally. But I can almost guarantee you, like, almost everybody would relate to it. But then you'll have that one person that be like, so I saw,
Well, and it's like, well, with this podcast, some people that we work with, everybody that, they may or may not follow us and may or may not know.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of walk a thin line of that too. Like, do I tell people at work or don't I? But it's like, but it's on Instagram. Right. Everybody's going to see it.
Everybody going to see it.
So it's a very thin line, because you're like, it's my business. Right. But then it's like, but it's on social media. So it's their business too. And if they want to ask about it, which is completely fine. But then when they ask about it, like, well, I haven't told these other people about it. But I know they're gonna see it. Right. So,
and even like speaking on that, it still kind of shocks me when like people like, oh my, our coworkers specifically, like, so I saw your episode, and you're like, like you did, like, and then for me, I'm like, okay, what did I say? Did I say anything crazy? Is it,
That's the truth. You like, oh, but should I be posting this? Should we talk about this? But I think that is the good thing about this podcast is that I think some of our coworkers or some people in our life can see us in a different light.
Yeah.
And also can be encouraged that it's okay to talk about certain things within reason.
Within reason.
As long as you do it with a little bit of, I don't know, class about it.
Taste. And I mean, some episodes we have coming up, like we've talked about like how deep or how far like we're gonna go into it, because again, yes, I really do have to be mindful in just some of the stuff that I'm saying now. Like the open me, like the non, like not thinking about those things, I literally will talk about anything and everything. Okay, I have no problem discussing like any type of topic or anything. But I do have to be mindful in just some areas.
Because people are going to ask questions or, or want to talk about it. But I think that is also the different layers. Because, like, I mean, I follow many different, women on social media or people on social media, and they're like, they're moms, but they're also like entrepreneurs, and they're also, influencers, or they also, like, there's so many layers to people. I think to ask them to be one thing all the time is not fair, because then you get into like, one thing I've been hearing a lot is imposter syndrome, where people
that?
So like an imposter, they act like something they're not.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And so there's like a is it on Netflix or Hulu? There's a social media documentary, and some people do feel that, because it's like, I've posted this on social media, but then how do I translate that into my everyday life? And it is true for people who are really on social media as an influencer, real heavy, when they go out into the real world, or, go out there and do their whatever, running errands, people expect them to be who they are on
social media. Yeah.
But again, people forget that we have so many layers. Like, I may be in mom mode for that period of time, and that's what I am.
Yeah.
And then I'm with Tam and we're doing our podcast, and that's what I am right now. It's kind of like you run into like figuring out, well, who am I?
It's actually funny you say that. So going back to, me being a coach and just being mindful of what I'm posting, and like, I even have like social media rules, like in my team agreement. And for so long, I literally wouldn't post like almost anything like social related.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was, but just one year I was like, but why?
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm not trying to put up a front, right? I think what it is that I didn't want like my team, like I wanted my girls to like really kind of get to know me. Yeah. And I feel like I was trying to like
Keep it all business.
Yeah, keep it all business. But it's like that's not me. Like,
that's right.
You know, I can be business, but I am goofy as all get out.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I still like to go out and have fun, and I'll have a couple of drinks and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I just one year I was like, girl, like, chill out, you know? And so
Yep.
so now like I'm more open to like if I'm out and I'm having a drink,
Yep.
I might post that. Even in practice. Like it was so bad, like even in practice I would be very like very business. Here we go, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, and it's like, ew. And that's so opposite. It's so opposite of who
who you
I
are.
am. You know, and so I do think like my
Yeah.
team, they started to appreciate it, but I'm pretty sure at first they're like, who is this? Like,
Well,
who is
also
this?
you
Yeah.
do have to create that balance, because then
Yeah.
you don't want them to come to practice like, "Hey, girl, like,
Yeah, now see, now
no,
we
wait a
ain't
minute,
friends. Well, I mean,
I'm
we
not your friend."
Well, you know what I mean. But yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to get drinks together. But you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't want to give you the impression that we're about to go hang
Right.
out, you know,
Right.
but I do have my own life.
Yeah.
So this reminds me of something that I think I heard on the radio or something, and it was a teacher, an elementary teacher maybe, and she is a pole dancer.
Well,
And you know, that's something that's real popular.
I have a friend
Yeah.
who is a teacher, and she does fitness.
There we go. So the parents were in an uproar because their kids have social media accounts.
Yep.
And they saw their teacher, you know, doing her thing. And they like made a big to do about it. And I don't know if she lost her job. I don't know if she got suspended. There was something that happened. And so the discussion on the radio was like, what does it matter? Should she post it on social media or not? Because she's a teacher.
I wonder if she was like, and I don't know if the person I know in particular, I don't know if like that's something like she has to disclose up front.
Right.
Because the person I know, she posts video as long as I've known her. She's always posted videos of like her about to teach a class or like her doing, you know, choreography on the pole or whatever. But she's a school teacher. She's always been a school teacher. Right. So I wonder if like that was something like she disclosed in the beginning.
And I think and I don't know the answer. And goes to our point of what you should and should not post, because she has her own life.
Yep.
She's not just a teacher.
Right.
And to hold her to be so accountable in a way that she can't be anything outside of that is unfair. But then it's like sometimes you think, well, maybe she should have like you know, another page that doesn't have that kids can't find, or a private page like you said, to kind of make sure that kids, because I think they said the kids were playing some of the videos in the classroom of like, you know, look at Mrs. whatever, and she's, you know, doing her acrobatics, okay, on the pole. Look at Miss Jones. And so it caused disruption in the class too, which was, so I guess because it got blended, it was messy in that way, that it was like her personal life was coming into the school.
Yeah.
So I think knowing how to navigate that, I don't have the answer, but it was something I'm like,
that is hard, because even for me, so I used to dance professionally for our NBA team, Indiana Pacers. I did that for 7 years, and I was always, and so, okay, some people are like, oh, that's so awesome. But there's some people who like, they looked at it differently.
What? In a negative way?
Yeah. There's one job in particular.
What? Are you kidding me?
There's one job in particular who was not a fan of it.
Ooh.
Now keep in mind,
that's crazy.
I've always worked in the school. At this time, I was in the school system. So I was around, you know, elementary kids, middle school. I've been around all of them. And I was very proud of it. And so, but I made sure that I told them.
Yes.
You know, like I made sure I told them like, hey, outside of this, this is what I do. And I remember leaving the school system and going into another job, but like the interview process.
What?
I remember sitting down remember sitting down an interview, and I was interviewing with the executive director, and he says to me, he's like, yeah, you like to take a lot of pictures, don't you? I said, excuse me? He's like, yeah, I noticed on your Facebook, you like to take a lot of pictures, and like he was like literally on my, and this is when it wasn't like nowadays. I think it's a little bit more like common to kind of do like your research. At that time, it was new. Yeah. I had never heard anybody in an interview say to me, basically, I've been looking at your social, like your social media. Yeah. And I would post everything about me dancing, everything. Right. Like, So anyways, I say that to say, like, even with that, like I just made sure I was very open and honest about it. Yeah. I would even have pictures, you know what I mean? I would have pictures, set up or whatever case. But yeah, that's great. That's unfortunate. Like, people need to understand, like, we, like, outside of what you may see us as, like, we have a social life, like we do other things. And that's
such an old school way to, I didn't know that, but that makes me think, like, that's another thing, is that some of our corporate companies are ran by baby boomers who may not be so much so up to date with social media, right, and may have a negative outlook on it, and may just think of it as a different thing. Yeah. Whereas the times now, it's like social media is everything.
It's everything.
And it's a platform for people to express themselves, to promote things. This podcast. And I think it makes some people uncomfortable. It's going to push people to get with the times. Yeah. Because this is the time that we live in. Everything is everywhere.
Everything is everywhere. Absolutely.
And but that is going to be the thing. Like, I don't know the balance between what you post personally.
It's hard.
How it runs into your professional life. And how do you deal with that?
It's hard. I mean, still till this day, it's very hard. Like, I was, to be honest, I was a little skeptical to repost the promo for what was not the last episode where I was crying. That one.
But there wasn't nothing.
It wasn't, but it's also about, like,
you don't want nobody in your business.
It's kind of like certain people, like, like there's certain people where it's like you only get so much access.
But then they can go on YouTube and watch the whole episode.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's like, the thing.
It's hard.
I do the same thing.
I struggle still to this day. Okay?
It's like, girl, but they can go on YouTube and watch the whole episode.
Well, now, yes.
But yes. It is hard to, like, even my aunt and uncle that came up yesterday, they were like, we watch your episodes. And I'm like, oh, thank you. But to them, I'm their niece, and there's certain things that, some of these episodes, I'm like, I have never talked about this with them, or they don't know this side of me.
I know. I've had one of my dance members text me like, "Hey Tam, I just watched your last episode." I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
I was like, "Thank you so much." I was like, "Oh gosh."
On the inside, you're like,
right.
What do you think about it? Right. Like, what do you think of me? Are we, share?
Yeah.
So that is a hard one, and I think we're always going to be working towards finding the balance.
Yeah, because everyone has their own opinion on what should and what shouldn't be, and
depending on who's running the show.
Hello, that is very true.
So
well, that was a more serious shoot the shit.
But it was. I mean, I think I think social media gonna find its way into every episode.
Yeah,
because it's just so prevalent.
It is
so prevalent in our day and age, and it's gonna continue to be. I mean, my son's 9, and by the time he's in high school, I'm like, you never know what social media will find its way into that.
From now, like what it's gonna look like.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I ain't got nothing else.
Topic.
Nothing else.
Well, I guess we're gonna wrap this up, and thank you guys again for chit-chatting and shooting the shit with us. And until next time, don't forget, no tea,
just coffee.
Peace out.